Cotton is here with a look.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those trendy dips these days, hummus. So the nutrition team at 8 on Your Side Consumer Reports looked into it to see just how healthy hummus is.
Glyphosate residues, soybean oil, potassium sorbate, and sodium benzoate, all found in hummus brands Americans have trusted for decades. But open the wrong tub, and what you are eating is industrial seed oil blended with chemical preservatives, chickpeas sprayed with a weed killer the World Health Organization linked to cancer in 2015. If you have been buying the same brand for 5, 10, 20 years, it has all been going into your body. I'm counting down 11 to throw out and 10 that earned your trust, based on EWG lab testing, FDA records, and ingredient analysis. Starting with the brand that barely qualifies as hummus. Number 11. Lantana Dark Chocolate Hummus. Yes, this is sold in the hummus section. And yes, chickpeas are involved, but flip it over and here is what you are actually eating. Canola oil is the primary fat, not olive oil and not even tahini in any meaningful amount. Then 3 separate sweeteners, brown sugar, agave syrup, and dates followed by literal dark chocolate chips. A 2-tablespoon serving carries 5 grams of sugar. Traditional hummus has 0. The ingredients list reads more like a brownie batter than anything your grandmother would recognize from a Middle Eastern kitchen. Lantana calls it hummus because chickpeas are in the base. But by that logic, a chickpea cookie is a health food. The problem is not that someone made a chocolate dip. The problem is that it sits on the same shelf, in the same section, as the tub you are buying for your blood pressure. And Lantana does use potassium sorbate in some of their other recipes too, so even the savory flavors deserve a second look at the label. If your definition of hummus includes chocolate chips, you and I are reading different cookbooks. That was a labeling trick, but labeling is not the only trick in the hummus aisle. Number 10. Athenos Original Hummus. Athenos has been around since the early 1990s and built its reputation on Greek-inspired foods. It looks artisanal. The packaging suggests tradition. But Athenos is owned by Bell Brands International, the same company behind Laughing Cow Cheese and Baby Bell. Turn the tub around and the first oil listed is soybean oil, not olive oil. Soybean oil is cheaper, has a longer shelf life, and comes overwhelmingly from genetically modified crops unless the label says otherwise. Athenos does not say otherwise. They also add potassium sorbate as a preservative, the same chemical additive. A 2010 study published in Toxicology in Vitro found to be genotoxic to human white blood cells. Genotoxic means it damages DNA at the cellular level. The FDA still considers it safe at approved levels. And to be fair, the amounts in a serving of hummus are small. But your grandmother's hummus recipe never called for a synthetic preservative. And the fact that a multi-billion-dollar parent company chose the cheapest oil and the longest shelf life tells you exactly where their priorities sit. So what happens when a store puts its own name on the label but the same kind of shortcuts hide underneath? Number 9. MarketSide Classic Hummus. MarketSide is Walmart's private label brand, which means you are trusting Walmart's sourcing team to vet ingredients the way a hummus maker would. In 2017, MarketSide Classic Hummus was pulled off shelves in a listeria recall after the company's supplier, House of Thaler, was alerted to possible contamination in the pine nut topping used across multiple hummus brands. That same recall also affected Lantana white bean hummus and a Fresh Foods Market variety. No illnesses were reported, but the recall covered products sold across the United States and Canada. Beyond the recall, MarketSide hummus relies on canola oil and includes preservatives to maintain its shelf life in stores where turnover speed matters more than ingredient integrity. Store-brand hummus is not inherently bad. But when the name on the tub is a retailer and not a hummus maker, you are one supply chain decision away from ingredients nobody at corporate can explain to you. That recall came from a topping supplier. So what happens when the contamination is not in the topping but in the chickpeas themselves? Number 8. Wild Garden Traditional Hummus. Wild Garden markets itself on convenience, selling hummus in shelf-stable pouches that do not need refrigeration. That should be your first question. Traditional hummus, the kind made with chickpeas, tahini, olive oil, and lemon juice, needs a refrigerator. If it can sit in a warehouse for months, something is keeping it alive that would not be in your kitchen. In this case, the answer is sodium benzoate, a synthetic preservative that has raised concerns when it combines with citric acid, because that combination can form benzene, a known carcinogen. Wild Garden also uses soybean oil instead of olive oil. The brand does not carry a non-GMO verification, and the ingredient list is longer than what you would find in any traditional recipe. Shelf stability is not a feature of real hummus. It is a feature of processed food engineering. If the package does not need a refrigerator, the product inside has already made compromises your body will carry. If you want to know how preservatives stack up, wait until you see a brand that uses 2 of them at once. If this investigation is already changing what you reach for at the grocery store, take a second and hit like and subscribe. It helps this channel keep doing the work, and it makes sure the next investigation shows up in your feed. Now, back to the countdown. Number 7. Fresh Cravings. Classic Hummus. Fresh Cravings is a family-owned company that built its name on fresh salsa, and their hummus packaging leans hard into words like fresh and quality. It also claims to be the only store-bought hummus made with Chilean extra virgin olive oil. That sounds excellent until you read more carefully. The oil listed is a blend of canola oil and extra virgin olive oil. The ratio is not disclosed anywhere on the label. It could be 90% canola and 10% olive oil and still legally be called a blend. But the bigger issue is the preservatives. Fresh Cravings hummus contains both sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate, 2 synthetic preservatives in a single tub. One is the compound that can form benzene when combined with citric acid, which is also in the ingredients. The other is the additive flagged for genotoxicity in that 2010 lab study. Dual preservatives in a product marketed as fresh is not a contradiction the company addresses anywhere on its website. Fresh is doing a lot of heavy lifting on that label. Preservatives are one way to cut corners. Hiding behind a store name is another. Number 6. Park Street Deli Hummus. Park Street Deli is what you find in the hummus section at Aldi, and for the price, a lot of people grab it without a second thought. Aldi store brands tested in the Environmental Working Group's 2020 study showed detectable glyphosate residues, and Aldi-sourced chickpea products were among the conventional samples where nearly 9 out of 10 tested positive for the weedkiller. Park Street Deli Hummus uses canola oil instead of olive oil and includes preservatives for shelf life. None of this is unique to Aldi. But what makes store-brand hummus a particular concern is transparency. The name on the label tells you who sold it to you but not who made it or where the chickpeas came from. Aldi rotates co-packers based on cost, which means the hummus in the tub this month may come from a different plant than the tub you bought last month. That is not a food safety system, it is a purchasing department. 2 store brands used chickpeas that exceeded an independent safety benchmark, but the highest reading in the entire study came from a name built on organic promises. Number 5. Harris Teeter Store Brand Hummus. Harris Teeter is a regional grocery chain owned by Kroger, and its store brand hummus carries the quiet authority of a name that shoppers in the Mid-Atlantic associate with quality. But in the Environmental Working Group's 2020 glyphosate study, 2 Harris Teeter hummus products exceeded EWG's health-based benchmark of 160 parts per billion for daily consumption. That benchmark is based on a 4-tablespoon serving, roughly what you would eat sitting down with a bag of pita chips. The EPA allows up to 5,000 parts per billion of glyphosate in chickpeas, a tolerance level the EPA itself set back in 1997 by raising it from 200 parts per billion. EWG and independent researchers have called that federal limit dangerously outdated, arguing it ignores the cancer classification the World Health Organization issued in 2015. Harris Teeter does not grow or process its own chickpeas. It buys from suppliers who buy from farms where glyphosate is sprayed as a drying agent right before harvest. By the time that chickpea reaches your hummus, the residue is baked in. If Harris Teeter surprised you, the brand at number 4 might make you set down your spoon entirely. Number 4. Whole Foods 365 Classic Hummus. Whole Foods built a brand on the promise that everything in their store meets a higher standard. Their 365 House brand is supposed to be the affordable version of that promise. But in the EWG's 2020 lab testing, Whole Foods 365 Original Hummus recorded the highest glyphosate concentration of any hummus sample tested, over 2,000 parts per billion. That is more than 15 times EWG's health benchmark for daily consumption. 15 times. From the store that charges a premium specifically because shoppers believe they are avoiding exactly this kind of contamination. Whole Foods is owned by Amazon, which acquired the chain in 2017 for nearly $14 billion. The 365 brand is sourced through supply chains optimized for volume and margin, not the artisanal origins the brand's image suggests. You can spend $8 on a tub of hummus at Whole Foods and get more glyphosate than the cheapest brand at a discount store. That is not a quality gap. That is a trust gap. The glyphosate numbers tell one story. The ingredient list tells another, and number 3 took the shortcut hiding in plain sight on every label. Number 3. Tribe Classic Hummus. Tribe has been selling hummus since the mid-1990s and positions itself as a simple, no-nonsense brand. 5 flavors, clean packaging, straightforward marketing. In blind taste tests, Tribe frequently ranks near the top for flavor and texture. But the primary oil in Tribe Classic is canola oil, not olive oil. Canola oil is processed using chemical solvents, produces a less favorable ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids, and comes predominantly from genetically modified rapeseed crops. In some of its flavored varieties, Tribe uses niacin as a preservative, a naturally derived antimicrobial that is less concerning than potassium sorbate, but still an additive you would never put in homemade hummus. The real issue with Tribe is the gap between perception and ingredients. It looks like a clean brand. It tastes like a quality product, but the foundation is the same industrial oil base that defines most of the hummus aisle. Tasting good and being good for you are not the same question, and Tribe answers only the first one. Number 2's label tells a similar story, except this one charges deli counter prices for it. Number 2. Boar's Head Hummus. Boar's Head carries the weight of a name most Americans associate with the deli counter, with premium cold cuts, with quality you pay extra for. Their hummus benefits from that association. It sits in the refrigerated section next to the meats, positioned as a step above the mass-market brands. But turn the container around, and the oil listed is soybean oil. The same cheap, likely GMO oil that Sabra uses, that Athenos uses, that defines the bottom tier of the hummus aisle. Soybean oil delivers more fat per serving than olive oil would in the same recipe, and it lacks the antioxidant profile that makes olive oil a staple of the Mediterranean diet hummus was born from. Boar's Head hummus also runs higher in sodium than many competitors, at 125 milligrams per 2 tablespoon serving. The texture is airier, and the tahini flavor is pleasant. But you are paying a premium for the Boar's Head name on a product that is built from the same industrial ingredients as brands half its price. A deli label does not change what is in the tub. And that brings us to number 1, the brand that controls more of this market than any other company in America. Number 1. Sabra Classic Hummus. Sabra is the most popular hummus brand in the country, and as of late 2024, it is fully owned by PepsiCo, which paid $244 million to buy out its partner Strauss Group. At its peak, Sabra held over 60% of the American hummus market. Today, that number sits around 37%, but it is still the dominant brand by a wide margin, pulling in close to $400 million in annual retail sales. Here is what is in the tub. Soybean oil, not olive oil, potassium sorbate, the preservative flagged for genotoxicity, and chickpeas that, according to the EWG's 2020 lab testing, contained glyphosate levels exceeding their health-based benchmark. But the safety record is where Sabra stands alone. In November 2016, the FDA inspected Sabra's manufacturing plant in Colonial Heights, Virginia, and found 27 environmental samples positive for Listeria monocytogenes. The company issued a voluntary recall covering hummus products distributed across the United States and Canada. That was not the first time. Sabra had already recalled roughly 30,000 cases of hummus in 2015 over similar Listeria concerns. And in December 2021, the FDA issued a formal warning letter citing multiple violations at the same Virginia plant. PepsiCo did not buy a hummus company. PepsiCo bought a distribution network that happens to sell chickpeas blended with soybean oil and preservatives. Your grandmother would not recognize it, neither would anyone in the Middle East. Sabra is the #1 selling hummus in America, and it is the #1 brand I would remove from your refrigerator today. Those are the 11 brands that did not pass this investigation, but 10 brands made hummus the way it is supposed to be made, and number 10 starts with a store brand that actually gets it right. Number 10. Trader Joe's Mediterranean Hummus. Trader Joe's is a store brand, but it operates nothing like the Walmart or Aldi model. The company sources its own products, works directly with manufacturers, and has built a reputation for clean ingredient lists at lower price points. Their Mediterranean hummus uses a simple recipe: chickpeas, tahini, olive oil, garlic, lemon juice, and sea salt, with no potassium sorbate, no sodium benzoate, and no soybean or canola oil in sight. The sodium is moderate, and the ingredients list is short enough to read in a single breath. For the price, usually around $3 for a 10-ounce tub, it is one of the best values on this list. Trader Joe's is not organic and does not carry a non-GMO certification on every product. So if those labels matter to you, other brands on this list rank higher. But if you want real hummus at a real person price without preservatives or industrial oils, Trader Joe's proves it can be done. That is what clean hummus looks like at a budget price. Now see what it looks like with a family name behind it. Number 9. Abraham's Traditional Hummus. Abraham's has been around since 1993, founded in Woburn, Massachusetts, by a family with Lebanese roots. Their traditional hummus keeps the recipe where it belongs: chickpeas, tahini, olive oil, garlic, lemon juice, salt, and spices. No soybean oil, no canola oil, no potassium sorbate. The ingredient list is one you could duplicate in your own kitchen in about 10 minutes. Abraham's does not use high-pressure processing or any other preservation technology beyond keeping it cold. That means the shelf life is shorter than the industrial brands, which is exactly the point. If your hummus lasts 2 months unopened, something is in there that should not be. Abraham's trades shelf life for ingredient integrity, and the result is a clean, traditional hummus that reflects the kind of recipe passed between generations. It is not the flashiest brand on this list. It is just honest. One family in Massachusetts has been making hummus since 1981. The USDA organic seal on their label is not marketing. Number 8. Cedars Organic Hummus. Cedars has been making hummus since 1981, operating out of Ward Hill, Massachusetts, with recipes rooted in the family's Mediterranean heritage. Their organic line is USDA certified organic, which means the chickpeas were grown without synthetic pesticides like glyphosate. The oil is organic, and every ingredient meets federal organic standards. The oil blend is organic sunflower oil with organic extra virgin olive oil. Sunflower oil is not as beneficial as pure olive oil, but in an organic formulation without chemical solvents, it is a reasonable trade. Cedars Organic does not use potassium sorbate or sodium benzoate. Their conventional line adds guar gum as a thickener, which is benign but unnecessary, and the organic version includes it too. If you want a widely available organic hummus from a company that has been doing this for over 40 years, Cedars earns that trust. The family name on the label matches the family recipe inside it. Asheville, North Carolina. A co-op. 1 tub of hummus at a time. Number 7. Roots Hummus. Roots started in a small co-op in Asheville, North Carolina, and built its reputation on transparency. They print the full ingredient list on the top of the container, not the bottom or the back, which is the first thing you see when you pick it up. The recipe is simple: garbanzo beans, tahini, safflower oil, lemon juice, garlic, sea salt, and spices. No preservatives, no soybean oil, no canola oil. Instead of using chemical additives to extend shelf life, Roots relies on high-pressure processing, a cold technology that kills harmful bacteria without heat or chemicals. The brand is certified non-GMO, and the sodium content is lower than most mainstream competitors. Safflower oil is not olive oil, and that is worth noting, but it is a lighter oil without the inflammatory concerns tied to soybean or canola. Roots also donates part of its profits to a foundation focused on outdoor learning for children, which has nothing to do with the ingredients but tells you something about the people behind the brand. That was a brand built on transparency from the ground up. Another brand brought restaurant-quality hummus to the grocery shelf. Number 6. Kava Hummus. If you have ever eaten at a Kava restaurant, you already know what their hummus tastes like. The fast-growing Mediterranean chain started selling its packaged hummus and dips in grocery stores, and the transition held up. Kava Traditional Hummus uses olive oil as its primary fat, not soybean oil, not canola oil, not a mystery blend. The sodium is lower than most competitors, the ingredient list is short, and the flavor profile is clean and well-balanced. In 2023, Kava did issue a voluntary recall on its spicy hummus after a retailer discovered the wrong lid had been placed on some containers, meaning a lid for spicy labneh ended up on spicy hummus tubs, and the sesame allergen was not disclosed. That was a packaging error, not a contamination event, and no illnesses were reported. It is worth mentioning for full transparency, but it does not reflect a systemic quality problem. Kava makes hummus the way a restaurant kitchen makes hummus, and that standard traveled well to the retail shelf. That was a restaurant brand that survived the jump to retail. Number 5 never had a restaurant. It started with a mission. Number 5. Esty Original Hummus. Esty keeps one of the shortest ingredient lists of any commercial hummus on the market: chickpeas, sesame tahini, sunflower oil, water, sea salt, garlic, pepper, and lemon juice concentrate. That is it. No preservatives, no gums, no stabilizers. In blind taste tests, opinions split. Some tasters find it mild, others detect a strong lemony brightness. But the tahini is prominent and the texture is smooth. The sunflower oil is not olive oil, and that keeps Esti from ranking higher. But it is a clean oil, without the processing concerns attached to soybean or canola. Esti is Israeli-made and widely distributed in the United States, and the simplicity of the recipe speaks for itself. When a brand gives you 8 ingredients and none of them require a chemistry degree to pronounce, that is a product designed to be eaten, not engineered to be stored. Short ingredient lists are one standard. A company out of Washington, D.C. decided that organic sourcing and extra virgin olive oil should be the baseline. Number 4. Little Sesame Hummus. Little Sesame started as a hummus restaurant in Washington, D.C., co-founded in 2016 by Nick Wiseman and Ronan Tenney, and has since expanded into retail. Their packaged hummus uses organic chickpeas and extra virgin olive oil as the primary fat. No seed oils, no preservatives, no thickeners. The ingredient list is as clean as it gets in a commercial product. Little Sesame also partners directly with regenerative farms in the American Midwest to source their chickpeas, which means the supply chain is shorter and more traceable than what you get from a major retailer or a PepsiCo subsidiary. The spicy harissa flavor is a favorite among reviewers, and the texture is described as creamy and whipped, close to what you would get from a restaurant kitchen. For a brand with both organic sourcing and olive oil at the center of its recipe, Little Sesame is doing what the big brands claim to do but do not. That was organic chickpeas and olive oil from a company that controls its own supply chain. Number 3 has been doing this quietly since 1988, and you have probably never seen it on a shelf. Number 3. Yorgos Original Hummus. Yorgos has been making hummus and Mediterranean foods since 1988 out of Patterson, California, with recipes built on olive oil, not soybean oil, and without the chemical preservatives that line the ingredient panels of the mainstream brands. Their original hummus uses extra virgin olive oil, and the recipe stays close to what you would make at home: chickpeas, tahini, olive oil, garlic, lemon juice, and salt. Yorgos does not chase trendy flavors or dessert spin-offs. They make traditional hummus and a handful of classic variations, and they have done it the same way for over 35 years. The brand is not organic and does not carry a non-GMO certification, which keeps it from ranking at the very top. But the oil is right, the preservatives are absent, and the recipe is honest. In a category full of brands pretending to be something they are not, Yorgos has been quietly making real hummus for longer than most of the competition has existed. Yorgos kept the recipe honest for 35 years. Number 2, kept the recipe honest and made every ingredient organic. Number 2. Hope Foods. Original Hummus. Hope Foods is based in Boulder, Colorado, and holds USDA organic certification across its product line. The chickpeas are organic, the tahini is organic, and the oil blend includes organic extra virgin olive oil and organic flaxseed oil, which adds plant-based omega-3 fatty acids that most hummus brands do not offer. Zero preservatives, not potassium sorbate, not sodium benzoate, nothing. Instead, Hope uses high-pressure processing, the same cold preservation technology that Roots uses, which neutralizes pathogens without heat, chemicals, or any change to the nutritional profile. Because Hope is certified organic, the chickpeas are grown without synthetic pesticides, like glyphosate, which directly addresses the contamination the EWG flagged in conventional brands. The texture is lighter and more homemade than the dense, industrial consistency of brands like Sabra. Hope's availability has been limited during a recent business transition, so check your local store. But when you find it, this is organic hummus made the way hummus should be made, with nothing in the tub that does not belong there. And that leaves one brand. The one that started at a farmer's market and became the #1 premium hummus in the country. Number 1. Ithaca Hummus. Ithaca was founded in 2013 by Chris Kirby, a trained chef who left the restaurant industry and opened a stand at the Ithaca Farmers Market in upstate New York, selling lemon garlic hummus made with real ingredients and nothing else. Today, Ithaca is the #1 premium hummus brand in America, and the recipe has not changed in the ways that matter. The oil is extra virgin olive oil, not soybean, not canola, not a seed oil blend of any kind. There is no potassium sorbate, no sodium benzoate, and no artificial preservatives anywhere on the label. Ithaca uses cold pressure processing, the same high-pressure technology that Hope and Roots use, which means the freshness comes from physics, not chemistry. The ingredient list on their classic flavor is short enough to fit on an index card, chickpeas, extra virgin olive oil, tahini, lemon juice, water, garlic, salt, and spices. That is hummus. Everything on this list that deviates from that formula, every soybean oil, every potassium sorbate, every canola blend of unknown ratio, is a compromise made for shelf life and profit margin, not for your health. Ithaca proved that you can build the #1 premium brand in the country without any of those compromises. It started at a farmer's market. It still tastes like it belongs at one. Sabra had listeria in the same plant twice, and it is still the market leader. Every verdict in this video can change by next quarter, quietly and without announcement. The label report catches it. Every month we recheck every brand and flag recalls before they reach your refrigerator. Scan the code on screen or use the first link below. $10 a month, cancel anytime. Go annual and 5 months are free. Just want the method? Both guides. $15 one time. Same link.